Hello everybody, my name is Toby Satsu and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing the physical media that I bought in August. Before we start, I do apologize if my voice is a little scratchy. I had the opportunity to go see System of a Down at MetLife and my voice is, to be honest, it's screwed. There was a lot of screaming and very good time, but I had to get this video made, so in advance, I apologize. To start, I'm thinking we'll go over things I've already somewhat talked about on the channel, and then we'll get the newer stuff. To start, we'll go over the Vinegar Syndrome releases that I've talked about in separate videos. First one being Gorgo on 4K. Really, really fun and really good film. Definitely light on characters and story, but when it comes to the effects and just the general scenery and look of the film, I love it. Up until this point, I'd actually never seen it. I knew of it. Gorgo is kind of like, in my opinion, one of those kaiju that really get you outside of the like tokusatsu giant monster scene like within Japan. And I can see why, because it is a really solid, just fun film. If you haven't seen this yet, I highly recommend you check it out. Again, I did a review on this separately for the actual like quality of the release, but that is Gorgo on 4K. After that, I also got Reptilicus. I show off the actual like innards and stuff of the movie in my Vinegar Syndrome review. So if you want to see these a little more in depth, I highly recommend you check those videos out. Again, I will link them in the cards and put up the links in the description. But the film itself was wasn't that good. Very meandering film. And the kaiju action within it just is not that good. It's fairly disappointing because, as I mentioned in the video itself, I knew this mainly from Cinemassacre when James Rolfe talked about his favorite kaiju movie creatures. And he hyped it up quite a bit with like the flying and the slime and all that, but really, it's not that good. That's Reptilicus again on 4K. Really like these Vinegar Syndrome limited edition boxes. Just too bad the film inside of it was not that good. And the final thing I got was Yonguri, Monster from the Deep. Now this is the first film I watched of the three, and it's the most recent they've put out. And I thought this one was okay. Very Gamera. I'm pretty sure this came out right after the first Gamera, and you can kind of feel that vibe with like the main kid being involved in the story and how Yonguri plays out and what he does. And there's a dance sequence with Yonguri. It's a really very kind of corny kaiju film, but it's got that kind of like late 60s psychedelic feeling charm that these older kaiju films at that point had. And the action itself is pretty cool. I think Yonguri as a creature is cool. Not anything like, I think, noteworthy per se, but just a very easy watch to put on if you're looking for some kaiju action. The transfer and special features on this are pretty cool. So, cool piece to have in the collection. That is Yonguri, Monster from the Deep. Now we're going to move on to some thrift hauls as well as some online purchases just in general. The first one that I want to show off, putting a delay on the Gojira piece that I need to complete the Godzilla side of it, we have the Toho Master Collection Rodan and War of the Gargantuas Digipack. Now, I knew a DVD of this existed. I never knew a Digipack existed until late July. And obviously this comes with Rodan and War of the Gargantuas on DVD. I do have Rodan on Blu-ray, but this comes with the English dub, which is nice to have. I really like this release. It's fairly premium. The purchasing process on this kind of sucked. I found Mercari is kind of a pain in the ass to deal with sometimes. When I initially purchased this, something that's wrong with this release, I'm not sure if it's too apparent on camera, but the plastic here kind of dips. It's like sticks out of there you go, the casing with the lip a little bit. And I found a cheaper copy of this. And initially I was like, okay, I bought this on Mercari, I might as well just stay with it. 6 days pass, nothing. So then I go to request a refund, buyer ships it out instantly. So again, it's one of those things where I kind of bitch about it on here quite a bit, but online shopping just is not the same as in-person shopping. And little things like that, while the release did come like in decent condition, it's still a pain in the ass to deal with, especially because I ended up spending more than I probably should have on this. Again, this is another piece to the Toho Master Collection. I still need Gojira, so I gotta get that to actually complete the set, but really cool piece to have. I like both of these films. War of the Gargantua, I really enjoy. I still haven't watched Frankenstein Conquers the World, though. I gotta get to that at some point. Next up, we have a film I really enjoyed last year, that being Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. Now, I had a run-in with, God, what was it? It was Groove. I just like tried to slander Zavi. I'm sorry. It was Groove or Gruv or whatever. And I had gotten the steelbook for this at one point, and it got canceled, and it was a whole thing. And I really wanted to get the steelbook for this, but it was like $50 last time I checked on the aftermarket, and I don't think it's gone up since for like an additional pre-order. So a little unfortunate because I do like the art on that much more than this. But I got this for $14 with shipping on Amazon with the slip, and the slip, like as you could see, came in like decent condition. So that was honestly a nice surprise. I really like this film. Robert Eggers is like one of the directors I am constantly watching. Him and Del Toro have kind of grasped my attention the past few years. So really good film. If you haven't seen it, definitely worth your time. Great 4K edition to have. I'm excited to pop this in and watch it again. That is Nosferatu. Next up here, kind of an odd one to go from all the ones we've done so far. We have the remake of The Producers. I really enjoy this film. I haven't watched it in quite some time, but I used to watch this all the time with my mom. I love the music in this. I think it's a really funny film. I've never seen the original, and I know a lot of people are very, very preferring of the original compared to the remake, but you know, I have this version. I don't really feel a need to go back and watch the original. This is perfect to me. There's some things I would say are kind of outdated, like very inherently just with the comedy, but personally that stuff doesn't bother me really that much. I got this for $2, so really good deal in my opinion. The DVDs seem to go for 10-ish bucks, Blu-rays 20, which for a movie this old is kind of odd in my opinion. You usually see those kind of start to go down in price with time, but really fun film. I need to really start collecting more comedies. I'm kind of missing a few pieces, but this is a good start. Again, if you haven't seen it before, it's a musical. It's one of the few musicals I actually enjoy. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Now we get into the SRS Cinemas Hall. Now, I've talked about this company before, and I've even done a dedicated haul video for them. And I wanted to do one for this set of films as well, but time just didn't really work out, unfortunately, so I thought I'd stick it in at the end of this haul. I really like this company. I respect what they're doing. If you haven't heard of them, I really recommend looking at their catalog. They have some fantastic pieces, and their releases are great, so enough with the glazing here. But they were doing a moving sale, so a lot of this stuff was really, really cheap. So there's a few pieces that I knew about beforehand and some that I didn't. This one I did, and that is of the movie The Whale God. Now, it came with this additional slip as I was showing off. I'm not big on it. It's kind of bland, especially when you look at the actual Blu-ray and you have like the text and all that. Like I kind of wish the slipcover had this kind of art to it, to be honest. But this is the first time it's ever been in North America. A lot of these films, that's the case. And there's some cool stories behind some of them that I'll kind of go into. But I've heard fairly decent things about this film. I've only seen the trailer off of SRS Cinema's site, but it's a Daiei film, right? Yeah, it's a Daiei film, so obviously they have some history with like the tokusatsu world and such, so that's a cool piece to have right there. And I think it's neat to have the slipcover, even if The art on it is a bit basic. That's the Whale God. Next up, we have a newer release from them, that being Hoshi 35. Again, this is a movie I don't know a ton about. I saw the trailer and it seemed interesting enough. From my understanding, a girl finds a little baby kaiju and raises it. Turns out that the thing is a giant monster, and there you go. You got yourself a nice little simple short film plot. Most of these films you'll find with SRS cinemas are fairly short. Like this is an hour 20, which is actually quite a bit longer than they usually end up being. They usually end up being under like an hour and 10. But I had my eye on this film for quite a bit. And it was on sale with the moving hall, so I think that's worth it. Excited to watch this. Again, a lot of these films I'm kind of going in a bit blind, but that's Hoshi 35. As some of the movies fall, so sorry for the noise there. Next up, we have a kind of a funky trilogy here. This is Raigo, Raiga, and Oga. Giant monsters attack, obviously invoking Godzilla there. But this is a 3-film, I believe, single disc set, which features Raiga, God of the Monsters, Raigo, King of the Monsters, and God Raiga versus King Oga. Now, if I'm remembering right, these all have the same director, and the director who did this, I believe, did War of the Ninja Monsters, and that was a really bad film. If you've never seen that, it's not a good film. And I've heard very mixed things about these movies, especially Raiga. I've heard pretty bad things about it. I believe there's a scene where it just pisses. So I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting set of films. Again, part of the fun of getting like these SRS Cinemas releases is that you get some really oddball things mixed in. So I am excited to see how these turn out. This was $10 for 3 films. I'm sure they're going to be at like DVD quality with all of it being, stuffed into a single Blu-ray, but going to be interested to check these out at some point. Again, that is a trilogy of movies. A complete blind buy here. This is Gun Caliber. This DVD was $2, and the trailer seemed pretty batshit. It reminds me a lot of like a Kamen Rider type of movie. The action specifically kind of invoked more like Shin Kamen Rider in the sense that a lot of it was very gritty and close and like raw, which I thought looked interesting. And the main character's design seemed kind of cool, and the action, like I said, looked solid enough where at least if the story isn't great, I would hope at least the action's good. So very interested to give this a watch. Again, that's Gun Caliber, and all of those films came to $100. Wrong! And I don't know why I already told you the price, because I still have one more movie, and it's one of the more interesting ones in the haul. So I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm losing my mind. But the last movie I actually got was Space Monster Wangmagwi. Now, this has a very, very interesting story behind it. This film was gatekept for many, many years. It was considered lost media, even though it was available. You just didn't have a way to actually consistently access it. This is a Korean kaiju film. And what was happening was someone had a reel of this movie, and they were essentially going around and shopping it and paying, like getting people to pay to see this. Which, if you know anything about this film, is severely unfortunate, because the film itself is apparently not that good. It's apparently pretty bad. So, honestly, I got this more for the history of the movie than I actually did, the quality of it. SRS Cinemas is the first company to actually put the movie out and have it be readily available, which I think is just such a cool precedent to have set for the company. Again, really, really cool release. Don't know about the film, but it's a cool piece of history. There have been videos about it too. Blame It on Jorge has done like compilations of lost media where this gets mentioned. So, if you have interest, check that out. But that's, again, Space Monster Wangmagwi. That was the full haul for SR Cinemas. That was $100 for all that, which I think, again, pretty good. Now, technically, I had one other movie that I bought from them, but got canceled, and I had to instead buy it from a eBay seller. And that is War of the God Monsters. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing to discuss, and kind of why I kept it for last. So, this is a film that SRS Cinemas has had on their site for years. They have it on Blu-ray and everything. And I've been kind of waiting to bite the bullet, essentially, and pick it up. And so, obviously, with the haul being so cheap, I actually stacked this on top. And I guess technically, again, I'm wrong again. This would have made the whole haul $100. It ended up being like, I think 80 something. So sorry, I'm like not doing too great today with like the describing of things. But this is apparently a movie they are no longer making at SRS Cinemas. And it's such a crazy thing to think because it's such an obscure film that's so suddenly stopped. You know, they're not going to distribute it anymore. And I think they're still like, they have it on streaming and stuff, but this is such a weird film. And I'm very curious to see what people, you know, will do with this in the future. Like, is this something that's going to gain like a price because it's so obscure and there's probably been so little made of it? Or is it just, again, so obscure that no one's going to care to buy it, even if they're not making it anymore? I got this for $15. If you have interest in this film, I'd recommend getting it now. I'm not sure how apparent they've made it that this film is not being made anymore, but I think, especially if you're into this obscure kaiju stuff, definitely pick it up. You're better off paying $15 now than maybe 30 or 40 bucks in the future if this really does end up actually being hard to come by. So, pretty bad film. Zagarudan did a great video on it, so I'd recommend you check that out if you kind of are curious about this. You may have noticed some ultra kaiju on here. But that is War of the God Monsters. And that's the end of the haul. I'm going to get all these put on the shelf. We'll end it from there. I've mentioned prior, but this is going to be the last haul I have for 2 months. And there's a reason. There's a big reason, an exciting reason that I will be sharing at some point in the future. And there's a reason why I'm not going to be spending as much money. But the next time you see a haul, it's going to be quite a bit of stuff. So be sure to stick around for that. Let's get these on the shelves and end it from there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. If you have any questions on the releases I showed, or want to share what you bought this month, be sure to leave a comment. And if you really enjoyed, be sure to subscribe. Plenty more content is on the way. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Toby Satsu, and I hope that you have a great day.